Imagine a beautiful garden. Imagine a world where we live as one. Unity teaches the most powerful prayer method I know, and that's affirmative prayer, where we use our power of imagination to see through what appears to be permanent and real, and to call forth from that realm the infinite possibilities that always exist. To look past the apparent lack and know that the abundance is right there. When we can get past our own limited thinking of country, of religion, of person, of place, and know that when there's no heaven, no hell, no nation, no religion, no color, no creed, we get to what really exists. The allness, the oneness, the completeness. The power of affirmative prayer has been used by people to cure themselves of illnesses that the doctors called terminal. It has been used to heal relationships that men called broken. It's been used to bring forth abundance from where people saw nothing but lack. It is the greatest legacy I believe our movement has given to the world. And yet, we don't utilize it ourselves to the level that we could. To the level that we could employ it. To have a daily spiritual prayer practice. Because prayer, for some of us, has taken on this meaning of old school, or of Christian, or of those religious people, and we take the label and we apply it to what we do. Prayer changed my life, but I'm not the only one.
Thank God.
Right? It has transformed, I know, so many of you sitting in this room today, because I've sat with you and I know the stories. I'd like to invite one of, I think, the longest attending, consistent member of Unity San Francisco Forward, Mr. Michael Grossman, also happens to be our pianist. To tell us a little something that he shared with me this morning.
Well, some of you might know, I'm sure some of you know, that about 4 years ago I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was pretty much riddled through my whole body, and it was pretty bad. But you know, the whole time I did not fall into the bad thinking. I was always praying. I was always feeling everybody's prayer. And I just had my third year scan, and it was totally clean. So I want to.
Wow.
I feel that you think about me and pray for me all the time, and if I can do that back for you, I will. I will always. Thank you.
Michael, as we all know, is an incredibly gifted musician. And through his illness, he played, right? Because music was part of his healing. But also, there were some amazing things that he did during this process. And I watched from afar and then came here as your minister and was so delighted to welcome him back after some of his treatments. And it's been an amazing journey, but I love what some of the things Michael did is that he used, like he said, he used prayer, but he also stopped all the negativity from entering his realm. And one of the things he said is he didn't want people calling him. Because in our best intentions sometimes, we dive into the ain't it awful. And for those of you who have experienced an illness, you know that when you share it with people, they tell you about all their relatives who died of that disease. Right? Oh, my aunt had that, rest her soul. Right? And Michael had the wisdom and the strength to keep all of that at bay so that he could go into his own world and heal. To stay in his positive, affirmative prayer world and heal. You know, and it's quite amazing testimony. Right? So I'm so glad that you were willing to get up and tell us today. Because a lot of times we don't hear those stories. We don't hear it enough. That it's beyond Myrtle. Everybody who sits in a Unity church hears the Myrtle story, right? Myrtle had tuberculosis, and she healed herself by the power of prayer. And it's an amazing story. She told every cell in her body, she apologized to it for ever calling it sick. Said, I'm so sorry that I ever called you sick or diseased. And she talked to every cell and called them whole and healthy. So that's what affirmative prayer is. We don't beseech, we don't ask, we don't beg. We know that God is at work as our wholeness, our health, our vibrance, our wholeness, health, vibrance, true selves. And we affirm that publicly, boldly, repeatedly if necessary. And with me, it's frequently necessary. So that we can be transformed, right? And so that we can be the testimony to the world that needs this message, right? But Michael also just didn't pray, right? He just didn't pray. He also moved his feet. He went to the doctors. He took their advice. He sat in their office and told them, no, you're wrong. I know something else is going on here. He took affirmative, proactive action in the world, in the reality, physical world, but affirming all the time his spiritual nature, his spiritual truth. And that is the lesson for all of us. It's not just to pray, but it's to move your feet. Right? Like, I can stand here and wish I had a 30-inch waist, but unless I give up those cookies at night, it ain't gonna happen. I can pray all I want. That, right.
I am thin.
Oh, I am thin. I sing like Misa. I sing like Misa. No, I don't. That's not what we mean by affirmative prayer. There actually has to be some action. And that's where the difference for me is between new thought. We take on a new thought and new age. Right? So there's nothing wrong with new age. I love new age. I love me some crystals. I have them all over my house. You know. In fact, when I joined the prayer chaplain program in New York, right? God, a decade ago, literally a decade ago, I joined the prayer chaplain program in Unity, New York. And I was so into this Unity stuff. It was so cool. And there was this woman, she's actually visiting California right now. I'm going to meet her later this week. And she said, oh, well, I do feng shui. Oh, I said, I want my house feng shui. Right? So she comes to my apartment, and I have a New York apartment. It has a long, narrow hallway, and it's winding. And she says, okay, you need a crystal here and this so that the energy can move. You've got to, make your bed this way, facing directly east. Well, if any of you know New York apartments, that's just not possible, right? And so she's going through all my house, and she does all these maps about what the optimal places are to put things and how to move the energy and the chi and all this. And then she finally settles down and she asks me, so what is it that you're really looking for? What are you trying to manifest? And I was living alone in this big, beautiful Upper West Side apartment. And I said, I really want a partner. I really want a mate. I'm ready to do that. And she looked around at my house and she looked at me and she said, well, where would he put his stuff? Literally, she said to me, "You gotta clear out some drawers." Right? And so I took her to her word, and I went and I cleared out 3 dresser drawers. I had 12, and I cleared out. So he had 3. I cleared out 3 and I painted them and I put in new shelf paper in them so they smelled nice when they opened them. And then I made these little signs so that when you open this empty drawer, it said boyfriend space. So that I wouldn't fill it again. Right? You know how it is, people are coming over, throw it in the drawer. So I had these nice little boyfriend, and then I cleared out a whole closet. Purged everything I wasn't wearing, put out a whole closet and put the signs on the hangers all over, boyfriend space, boyfriend space. Well, months go by and one night JD finally spends the night and he opens the drawer. It says, creepy. But he married me. So I had been saying the prayers. I had been affirming that I was going to have my mate. I was going to have my partner. That it was going to work out for me. But she had to wake me up to, I needed to take the actions in the real world that will allow it. Where would they fit in your life? Right? Where does the things you want, how is it going to fit in? Start behaving today like it's true, like it's real, like it's part of your life. Don't just affirm. Affirm, pray, and move your feet. Right? Take real world action. You want to be a writer? Write. You want to be an actor? Act. There were actors before there were paid acting jobs. Right? There's nothing that's stopping you from doing whatever you want to do except you. Hear that again. There is nothing stopping you from doing what you want to do or becoming what you want to become except you. Right? You have some idea that it's supposed to look some way or it's supposed to happen magically. And the reality is that you have to move your feet. Pray, affirm, know. It's incredibly powerful. And then move your feet. Take action in the real world to make it happen. Because when you do, the world benefits. Once again, I drive into work today, and there's a shooting in Baton Rouge. And more people are lying in the streets dead. And Dallas, and Nice, and Orlando, and Charleston, and Newtown, and Columbine, and Syria, and all of the things that we stand here week after week, it seems, and cry about, and talk about, and pray about. Pray. Affirm, know, and move your feet. Go have that conversation with a person you think is other. Go have that conversation and make an inroads into what you think is unacceptable. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Elizabeth and I have been talking about this for months. Oh, we're busy, like Deanne said. Right? We need to join the Interfaith Council here. Why haven't I? I have a million reasons. But if I want peace in the world, if I want it to be different, I have to make it different. I have to take the step and have the uncomfortable conversations, or have the conversations where we bring other people of other faiths in so that we can figure out how to stop the violence. To talk to my brothers and sisters who are constantly oppressed by the police, and talk to them about what we can all do, all of us with white privilege, Talk about the guilt we can even feel about our country that won't apologize for all the crap we did. Right? We chained people to boats, brought them here against their will, and enslaved them for generations, and nobody will say, I'm sorry. Well, that's crap. I'm so to the core sorry that is the legacy of my country. I just watched Hamilton on stage on Tuesday, all performed by people of color, except for King George. Brilliant. Brilliant cast. And so inspired that is the legacy of our country, the true legacy of our country. But how we won't admit where we fall short is baffling to me. If we are going to make a difference, we have to be willing to talk to each other, to admit where we're wrong, to pray for forgiveness, and to take the actions that justify it. In my 12-step program, an apology isn't enough. Amends are what are called for. Amends means making a difference in your behavior so that the person knows what you did won't happen again. You can apologize till you're blue in the face, but if you're still doing the same thing over and over again, what good is the apology? So it's a that and. It's apologize and another step. Pray and move your feet. Step forward. Move your feet. Affirm the truth. Move towards that oneness that music sang about. That wholeness that we all know. That peace that passes